The sweet breath of spring was never as good.
Was in front, passing stragglers in old dirt track machines. Suddenly, a car spun across the backstretch and another blocked away. There was nowhere for Vukovich to go, but over the wall. Sam Hank's beautiful new roadster lasted an hour longer. The transmission failed as he fought for the lead. This was Hank's 10th race. Our roadster type. In the first turn, a spin. Eddie Sachs in number 44 slides 1,000 feet, barely missing Tony Bettenhausen. Sachs is out of danger as in 1956 charges from 18th position to 3rd. Len Sutton slams the wall on the first turn, yards from Eddie Sachs' spin. But Sutton's machine won't race again. Number 8 is the second car out of the running, but Sutton is all right. Are in a furious fight for the lead. Trouble on the third turn. Look out! Chuck Wyatt and Mike McGill spin. Judd Larson's in trouble. McGill on his back slides across the track. Wyatt races to get McGill out of the wreck. McGill is pinned inside. Red Amick's car tangled with Larson's and is also out of the race. Larson has also run to McGill's wreck. Wyatt, Larson, and Amick aren't even scratched. And McGill is not seriously injured, but all 4 cars are out of the race. Ray Crawford into the wall. His fuel tank splits. For the 4th, a veteran is leading the pack coming into the front stretch. There's trouble on the main straightaway. Don Davis spins and comes to a stop in front of 160-mile-an-hour traffic. The crowd shouts a warning, sensing that more trouble is coming, as Davis, a rookie, is slow leaving his car. He seems stunned and bewildered. Look out! Another rookie, A.J. Shepard, is out of control. Cars tangle and come to a halt at the end of the straightaway. But no one is injured. Slow motion cameras saw the accident in greater detail. Davis's spin was caused by a broken oil tank on his car, which sprayed his wheels with oil. Davis was skidding on ice for hundreds of yards in his wild ride, desperately attempting to bring his car under control. One car had already passed the stalled number 83 on the inside, but when Davis walked across that narrow corridor, Shepard tried to change direction and lost control. Shepard hit the wall and then slammed into Bill Cheeseburg's car. With the track blocked, another car, driven by Roger McCluskey, spun out. Brilliant driving by Johnny Boyd took him around trouble. But at that moment, Jack Turner, attempting to avoid the pileup, flipped. Turner landed right side up. Lloyd Ruby's car coasted slowly around the disabled machines toward the infield, where his engine was later restarted. In a few moments, all 5 drivers were out of their cars and safely in the pits, ending one of the most spectacular chain reactions in Indianapolis history. A slight cut on Jack Turner's knee is the only bodily injury suffered by any of the drivers involved in the crash. Helmets, seat belts, shoulder harnesses, and roll bars were important factors in preventing injury. 5 cars are out of competition. When the track is cleared, the green flag sends...
Answers to some of the questions about chassis design come long before race day. Can this car be repaired in time? Could it still cross the line first on Memorial Day? This Lotus creation, as Dan Gurney climbs up the wreckage, he's prepared for just such a mishap. Drivers strain to build speed in practice sessions. Jack Turner is not seriously injured, but it's the third time in as many years his car has been airborne. From his hospital bed, he prudently announces his retirement from racing. On Monday, Lynn Sutton's car looks like this. On Tuesday, it looks like this. Sad and unbelieving, he circles the car, wondering which looks worse. Is it the front end, or is it the rear? On Wednesday, Sutton has company. Dempsey Wilson joins the club on turn 1. And on Friday, while practice is hot and heavy, rookie Ronnie Duman pays another visit to the wall. It's his third crash in the same turn, a monotonous routine for a young driver. Bob Harkey. As speeds of the leaders go up, drivers push harder in practice, some finding successful combinations, and some finding Jim Hurtubise isn't hurt, but what will be his strategy now? It's Chuck Rohde with an exploded tire. He's safe, but frustrated and very angry. The hopes and plans of Chuck and his crew ended far up the track, where his tire picked up a piece of metal which he saw, but could not avoid. The culprit, McDonald, is out of control. Drivers attempt to thread their way through the spreading flames. Some make it, others don't. Rookie Ronnie Duman stumbles over the wall and sprawls his way to safety. Firefighters slash at the flames with foamite while drivers stand in stunned disbelief. For the first time in Speedway history, the race is stopped for an accident.
It is with deepest regret that we make this announcement. Driver...
A hush greets the news that veteran Eddie Sachs and Dave McDonald were lost in the crash. Spectators watch tensely as Jones powers into the pits. With $150,000 at stake, his crew springs into action. Check tires, fresh goggles, fuel. Now push him off. Something's gone wrong. His car's on fire. Jones deliberately steers into the pit wall, bails out of the car, and rolls over and over, trying to extinguish the flames. Firemen and the pit crew help save Parnelli, while fans and friends give prayers of thanks to see the plucky driver safe on his feet. His car is burning furiously, and firemen battle to confine the blaze. Old 98 is out of the race.
Branson isn't hurt, but the car has taken a terrific beating. His mechanics have many long hours of day and night labor ahead of them to repair the wreck and get it running in time to qualify it for the race. It's Bobby Unser in one of the supercharged Novi's hard luck cars of the Speedway. Eb Rose spun out of control in front of him, and Unser couldn't avoid crashing into him. Both drivers are okay, but it looks like neither car may have a chance to make the race this year.